Walter Walt and A. Anderson (1880 and 1963), a cook, had been running food stands in Wichita since 1916. When he opened his first diner in a converted streetcar, after a second and third location, he was looking to open a fourth location when he met Edgar Waldo Billy A. Ingram, an insurance and real estate man, and together they started the White Castle chain. Founding and early activities. White Castle was founded in March 10, 1921 in Wichita, Kansas. Anderson partnered with Ingram to make White Castle into a chain of restaurants and market the brand and its distinctive product. Anderson and Ingram started with only $700 for the original White Castle in Wichita, Kansas. The original location was the northwest corner of First and Main. The building is no longer standing. At the time, the Americans were hesitant to eat ground beef. After Upton Sinclair's 1906 novel, The Jungle, had publicized the poor sanitation practices of the meat packing industry. The founder and set out to change the public's perception of the cleanliness of the industry they were creating. To invoke a feeling of cleanliness, their restaurants were small buildings with stainless steel interiors and employees outfitted with spotless uniforms. Their first restaurants in Wichita were a success, and the company branched out into other Midwestern markets, starting in 1922 with El Dorado, Kansas. 1925, White Castle official house organ, success, expansion, and imitators. The company also began publishing its own internal employee magazine, the White Castle Official House Organ, circa November 1925. It was originally named the Hot Hamburger. The bulk of the material was contributed by company personnel and consisted mostly of letters and photographs of workers, promotional announcements, 25-year milestones, retirements, and similar items of interest arranged by geographic area. Employees could read about the progress and innovations made by those in their other areas, which made everyone aware of the entire system's direction and condition. The White Castle official house organ was published in quarterly, at least through the early 1980s, and at some point it was renamed the Slider Times. The Ohio Historical Society has an extensive archive of White Castle System Incorporated records from 1921 to 1991, including issues starting from 1927 to 1970 of the White Castle official house organ. The earliest buildings, such as Indianapolis White Castle number 3, built in 1927, had exteriors and white enamel glazed brick and interiors of enameled steel. The Indianapolis unit was in operation until 1979, making it, at the time of its closure, the longest operating a fast food restaurant in the country. The company constructed this style of building from 1924 to 1929. White Castle Building Number 8 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, originally built in 1936 and remodeled. Photo in info box above as an example of the chain's building with prefabricated white porcelain enamel on steel exterior. The building measured 28 feet, 8.5 meters by 28 feet, 8.5 meters, and was designed to resemble the Chicago Water Tower with octagonal buttresses, crenellated towers, and a parapet wall. The success of White Castle led to numerous imitators. Restaurants copied the distinctive architecture of White Castle buildings as well as created confusion for consumers, by using a similar name. The first of these imitators in Wichita was Little Castle. Many competitors have created their names with a play on the White Castle name. Some restaurant chains which has replaced the word castle with their own word cabin, cap, clock, crescent, diamond, dome, fortress, grill, house, hut, kitchen, night, log, manor, mill, palace, plaza, shop, spot, tavern, tower, church, wonder, while others choose to replace white with another color or adjective. Blue Kings, Little, Blue, Kings, Little, Magic, Modern, Princess, Red, Wild, Silver. Some of the other imitators included Casablanca, Blue Beacon, Blue Bell, Blue Tower, Crystal, Red Barn, Red Lantern, and Clover Castle. Despite all the competition, few of the competitors were able to match the success of White Castle. 1932 Pepper Lane subsidiary. Since fast food was unknown in the United States at the time of White Castle's founding, there was no infrastructure to support the business as is common with today's fast food restaurants. The company established centralized bakeries, meat supply plants, and warehouses to supply itself. It was said that the only things that they did not to do themselves were raise the cows and grow their own wheat. Ingram developed a device to produce previously unheard of paper hats for employees to wear as part of their uniform. In 1932, Ingram set up a subsidiary, Paper Linen, to produce these hats and other paper products used in his restaurants as well as for many other purposes. At the time, White Castle's distribution stretched from Wichita to New York. Ingram decided the central office should be in the center of the distribution area, and in 1936 relocated the central office to Columbus, Ohio. That same year, Ingram decided to close all of the restaurants in the two smallest profit markets, Wichita and Omaha. In 1955, Paper Linen produced over 42 million paper hats worldwide with more than 25,000 different inscriptions. 1934, Porcelain Steel Building Subsidiary. White Castle also created a subsidiary in 1934 named Porcelain Steel Buildings that manufactured movable, prefabricated steel frame structures with porcelain enameled interior and exterior panels that could be assembled at any of its restaurant sites. This is the first known use of this material in the building design. Buyout of Anderson headquarters relocation and expansion. In 1933, Anderson sold his half of the business to Ingram. In the following year, the company moved its corporate headquarters to Columbus, Ohio. Co-founder Billy Ingram was followed as head of the firm by his son E. W. Ingram, Jr. and grandson E. W. Ingram III. In 1959, White Castle expanded into new markets for the first time since the 1920s. Billy Ingram, who had retired to Miami in 1958, built 3 White Castle restaurants there. The company closed the Florida operations in 1967 due to inefficient supply distribution. Throughout its existence, White Castle has been a private company and relied on company-owned stores. It remains privately held today, and its restaurants were all company-owned or none is franchised, except very briefly in Japan and during the 1980s, and more recently in China since 2017. Location expansion and vegetable sliders. The first White Castle in the far western United States opened at the Casino Royal Hotel and Casino on the Las Vegas Strip on January 27, 2015. This was the first expansion for White Castle into a region outside the Midwest and northwest of in 56 years. On the first day of business, demand for food was so great that the restaurant had to temporarily close for 2 hours to restock. White Castle Vice President Jamie Richardson said that the store sold 4,000 sliders per hour in its first 12 hours. He was not aware of any similar closing due to unexpected demand on White Castle's 94-year history. A second White Castle location opened in Las Vegas on September 22, 2017 on Fremont Street, and the third opened in June, not long after. In September 2015, White Castle began to offer veggie sliders with dairy-free buns to provide a vegan option. In December 2015, White Castle announced that Chief Executive Officer CEO D.W. Bill Ingram III would step down at the end of the year, but continue to be a chairman of the board. His daughter, Lisa Ingram, then became the fourth CEO of the company. In 2018, White Castle began offering meat-free Impossible Burgers, designed to closely mimic the flavor and texture of beef burgers. The first White Castle location in Arizona opened in Scottsdale on October 23, 2019. White Castle announced on November 25, 2019 that the chain will return to Florida after previously leaving the state in 1968, with plans to open the first restaurant in Orlando. A ghost kitchen operated out of the restaurant while it was under construction, overloaded Uber Eats when it opened for one day on February 24, 2021. The Orlando location opened on May 3, 2021. It is the world's largest White Castle, located in the Daryl Carter Parkway off Interstate 4. The opening coincided with White Castle's 100th anniversary.